What's up, good people? It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? Yeah. That was due to me being gone because I was over at Seafair in Seattle. Seattle's big summer event. It was a lot of fun. But we've got stuff. You don't care about that. You don't care what I did. We've got stuff going on. We've got shenanigans in Dolton. We have some shenanigans. Oof. Yeah. What we're going to do today is we are going to break down kind of the meeting they had last Monday. And I've talked about this in a number of podcasts here on this channel. But I'm going to kind of give you an overview, the 10,000-foot overview, and then we're going to start breaking it down per story. And what we're going to talk about is what happened at that meeting, who got fired, information coming out, tiff, lawyers up, fire the police chief, fire 8 employees of Dolton. They all come back the next day because they're saying that they weren't fired legally. We've got attorneys. We've got 2 new defense attorneys that have been introduced at a board meeting. They just waltzed into a board meeting. Here we are. We're tiffs defense attorneys. We've got that. And then the big deal is tonight at 6:30, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is going to reveal the results of her inquiry into the shenanigans in Dolton. She's going to release her report. And that's at 6:30 Chicago time, so 4:30 here. What I'm going to do is I'll be watching that, and I'll probably live stream kind of my reaction to that tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. But towards the end of today, we're going to get into what we can probably expect from Mayor Lori Lightfoot's report. And the Dolton attorney, the Dolton Village attorney, says it is going to be a bombshell. Yeah, it's going to go nuts. So let's jump on into it. Let's do this. So we've got 2 criminal defense attorneys hired by Tiffany Henyard to attend Dolton Village board meeting. Now, keep in mind, she has not been charged with any crimes. No crimes. So she rolls in with 2 defense attorneys. Now you can see it right here. So he's sitting just right to the left of her, and he's got his junior partner off to the right of him. We'll talk a little bit about who he is, but she's lawyered up, and the Village of Dolton is not paying for his services. So far that we know. So much of this stuff is just kind of coming and going, and it's anybody's guess what's actually going down. So it was a chaotic board meeting in Dolton on Monday night, but during that meeting, 2 unfamiliar faces were seen sitting next to Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Fox 32 has learned that there were criminal defense attorneys brought to the meeting by Mayor Henyard. Because she's not under investigation? I mean, she's basically saying, she's saying, I am innocent. The results will come out. It will exonerate me. And yet she's showing up with defense attorneys. Defense attorneys. Yeah. Okay, you're out of order. Remove her. Henyard told a resident and then her security. She removed, in Monday's meeting, she removed 3 individuals, one of which was, we understand, to be a senior citizen. You have tossed a senior citizen. That's some nice work there. You've got citizens that are just voicing their mind, and they're being very vocal because they see their taxpayer money just going out the window. Some of the stuff that Tiff is being accused of is pretty crazy. Buying gift cards at Target, $200, $300, $600 a pop. So are they doing that game where they, get those, give them out to their friends, or are they literally selling them, in one of these open air market type deals? I know you can do that in Seattle. I'm sure you can do that in Chicago, right? Am I right? So it was another wild night at the Dolton Village Board, with a handful of residents being ejected for shouting at the mayor. Now, they were shouting, but it wasn't anything that wasn't probably warranted. Tiff had it coming. She's way out there. She's way over her skis. And now bringing in legal advice in the form of attorneys. You got us into this mess, and now you're going to try and salvage what we can get out. Kiana Belcher, she laid that down. People who say things about me, and this is how Tiff responds. People who say things about me, I want you to prove it. Like I said, fact versus fiction. Now, what I think would be funny is when Tiff gets hauled away in her jumpsuit and her handcuffs, and maybe we do some T-shirts that say Fact versus fiction. I think that'd be funny. I think something's going to go down here pretty soon because with Tiff lawyering up, and she hasn't been charged with anything, doesn't look good. Another key component to this was in July 9th, Township of Thornton, where Tiff is the supervisor of the trustees. Keith Freeman, her right-hand man, was fired July 9th from Township of Thornton. Now Tiff says that that Village of Dolton has fired Keith Freeman because he's turned and he's probably informant. And is he an FBI informant? Well, I mean, that's who you've got doing a little probe here, right? So during this meeting, Tiff said, yeah, he's fired. And the village board is saying, well, he's turned informant, so we don't want to fire him because there could be a massive kickback lawsuit, just boom, coming right at the village. So they don't want to take that. They don't want to take that liability on. So they're keeping him on the books. They're keeping him hired. And they are literally saying, oh, no, he's a good guy now. He's a good guy now. He's working for us. Plus, he knows all the inner workings of the Village of Dolton. So you don't want to fire the guy who knows where the bodies are, right? Somebody mentioned that this morning in our live chat. So sitting at the mayor's side in a place usually reserved for the village attorneys were two unfamiliar faces. Who are these guys? Well, here's who they are. Here's Bo B. Brindley and his sidekick, Michael J. Thompson. He was off to the right. So you got Michael, you got Bo. And so this is a small law firm. And you've got Blair Westover. She writes the legal stuff, the drafts and the appeals and the motions and whatnot. But they are literally straight up. If you see their page, this is the very beginning of their website. This is what you come to. Not guilty. Find the defendant not guilty. Straight up criminal defense attorneys, right? Every not guilty begins with the decision to stand up and fight. All right. And here's what the media is kind of glomming onto. Results matter. Yes, of course they do. Because if you don't get results, then yeah, you don't matter. Aggressive criminal defense. This is their website. I mean, they are straight up criminal law. Tiff has not been charged with anything, but she hired them. Into a board meeting. They should have literally swapped out attorneys. Oh, the board doesn't need a defense attorney, but Bert Odelson, he's the attorney for the village and he talks a lot. He is a municipal attorney. That's who, if you're worried about the board doing something illegal during a meeting, you need a municipal attorney that knows the ins and outs, not a criminal attorney who they purportedly went to this meeting to say, hey, we want to make sure that the board doesn't do anything illegal here. I mean, it's like, really? This is really what you're doing. So, I didn't know them. This is what the board member said about the attorneys coming in. I didn't know them. A lot of board members, they didn't know them either. Nobody knew who they were. They were just recently hired. Tiff lawyered up. We didn't know who they were. Brittany Norwood, Dolton trustee. Fox 32 has learned the two men were Chicago federal criminal defense attorneys Bo Brindley and his law partner Ed McDavid. And then it goes on to talk about aggressive criminal defense. Well, I thought Tiff said that she was innocent and that all the truth would come out and that she was the beacon of light in Dolton. She's literally a beacon, self-proclaimed beacon of light. Now, some of the interesting things that happened in this meeting is that they capped credit card use because there are so many credit cards being used by so many people within the village of Dolton that they capped credit card use and they capped each charge maximum $5,000. And they basically just said the only people that are going to be able to use the credit cards are the village administrator. Okay. Because there's so many people running around with cards that are just charging things up. I mean, they've got PayPal accounts, charges just going crazy here and there. But one of the things they also did is they basically decided to sell back. Remember Tiff's Tahoe, or Tahoe Tiff, and how she got that name? She bought 3 Tahoes and a Ford Explorer for her private security detail, which is Dolton's police force. She bought 4 of those rigs. Well, they're sending those back. They're selling those back to the leasing company, because at the end of the day, those 4 vehicles were going to cost the village $713,000 over a 5-year lease. I mean, it's just nuts what you've got going on here. So our biggest fear, this is what one of the trustees was saying about the attorneys, our biggest fear is that she's going to use them for her criminal defense attorneys, and that the village is going to pay for it. This is one of the big themes, is who's paying for this? Now, Tiff has said, I'm paying for it. And so at that point in time, you're like, all right, okay, we're getting somewhere here. Because she's lawyered up. The village is not paying. Okay. Because you kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together and you're like, all right, something's coming down. In a statement, Brindley, he's the attorney, the main attorney, a former federal prosecutor, said, Mayor Henyard retained me to evaluate the board's conduct. That's rich. And identify violations of municipal law. And you bring in a criminal defense attorney? Okay. All right. I mean, whatever. This is just so standard, right? Everything is backwards. Everything is in the upside down. Mayor Henyard is charged with no crime. Okay. So then exactly which board conduct do you feel would be illegal? And so during this meeting, they got rid of Tiff's Tahoes and the Explorer, right? They cut their credit cards down. They also fired 8 people from the village. They fired 8 people, including Deputy Police Chief Lacey. Now, he's the dude that he basically just runs roughshod over everybody. And he is Tiff's right-hand man. They fired him as well. But he came to work the next day. And all the people that they fired from the village, they came to work the next day as well, claiming that they were fired illegally. Now, they weren't. So now the village's attorney is going to have to go get basically a judgment from a judge that says, no, we did fire them correctly, and you guys are fired. That's where they sit. I mean, it is that contentious that even during a legit firing, because now Tiff doesn't have the votes to make her will go. Everybody's kind of rolled over on her. She lost the votes, and she's basically stating, you guys didn't do it legally. So everybody's coming back to work. It's so bizarre. Here's a good quote from Bert Oldelson. He's the municipal attorney. Why are you having a federal criminal lawyer sit next to you at a village board meeting? I mean, all I can say is, really? I like Bert. I think Bert's a straight shooter. He's got a tough job, and he's having to kind of hold the bits and pieces together here as there's just incoming federal probe, Lori Lightfoot. We have a lot of experience in Chicago that happens quite frequently, that politicians get indicted, but they don't have the municipality they work for pay for their criminal defense. This was said during a time when it was kind of unclear exactly who is paying for Tiff's criminal defense. It appears like it's her. I mean, those bills can rack up. I mean, those guys are probably $300-400 an hour. They think about your case. They're in the shower picking up the soap, and they make a thought about your case. Yep, you're getting billed. That's just how the world of attorneys goes. They work some incredible hours per their payrolls, right? I mean, oh yeah, I billed. Yeah, I billed. Also at the meeting, trustees fired acting police chief Louis Lacey and several other Dolton employees. So there's some contention here on whether they fired police chief Lacey because of money or because he's basically running the police department into the ground. I've heard both of those. The money part doesn't necessarily make sense because you'd probably fire another couple of positions and hold your police chief together. But I think Chief Lacey has to go. I think he's on the outs. And then there's the issue of, well, if he shows up to work and he's not, formally employed, he's on administrative leave, then is he impersonating a police officer? And yeah, I don't know the legality of that, but I mean, opens up a whole can of worms, right? Like, all right, who is the police chief? Who has control of this village? Anybody? Bueller? You know what I mean? You've just literally got the blind leading the blind here. Until basically the FBI, discloses what they've got tonight with Lori Lightfoot, with some of you who refer to her as Beetlejuice. It should be entertaining. If nothing else, that should be entertaining. I don't want to say too much about that yet, but how about Keith Freeman is fired from the village of Dolton? He no longer works here at the village of Dolton, Henyard said. So she's trying to defend him initially. Oh, no, he's not fired. And he came right out and said, no, I haven't been fired. And, somebody got a hold, Freedom of Information Act, somebody got a hold of his document being fired. No, you were fired from the township of Thornton, and now you're fired from the village of Dolton. But because they need you, you're unfired. So we've just got all these employees. Are they legit? We don't really know. It's all in transition. It's all happening, right? The layoff of the employees and them returning to work today is interesting, said Norwood. I thought it was wild. It's just, hey, we fired you. No, you didn't. I'm still legit. You guys did it illegally. Well, we had a board meeting and we voted and it's in the minutes and you're out of here. That's literally what they did. No, it's like when your kid tells you, no, you can't do that to me. You can't punish me. No, I can't. I'm your father, and this is happening. But that is so indicative of everything that you've got going on. Some of my understanding is that the Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she is going to basically state that the village is maybe $6 million in the hole. Yeah. What I was kind of wondering is, all right, so you got a village of maybe 23,000 people, something like that. How big of a debt, if you've got a budget deficit of 6 million, like what is their total annual budget? I was kind of wondering that. I'm like, okay, everybody keeps talking about 2 million, 4 million, 6 million. They're upside down on their budget. How big is that relative to their overall budget? And how much impact does that have? And are they going to be digging out from underneath this for years? And my thought was, well, with declining tax revenue and with out of control spending, yeah, they probably are going to be digging out of this for years. This is monumental. Whereas 6 million on a much bigger municipality, I don't think would have as much of an impact because you run, budgets of billions of dollars. State of California spent $24 billion on homelessness and they don't know really where it went. And homelessness just got worse. 24 billion, it's okay. Just crazy stuff like that. Next article goes on talking about Mayor Henyard's, Tiffany Henyard's grip on the reins of Dolton is loosening after the village's board of trustees voted to freeze spending on village credit cards Monday night. Yep, going to freeze her out. She is slowly losing control. And after having lawyered up and having this battle over the police chief and the other employees, it's happening, right? That was the goal, to cut off her access and other operators in the municipality. Bert Oldeson, he's the village attorney. Other operators in the municipality. He made it very clear in an interview, a radio interview, that there are multiple people involved with the financial fraud. I guess misappropriation of funds, misallocation of funds, whatever you might want to call it. There's just a lot going on in Dolton, and there's multiple people involved. And it's going to be wild when we actually see, number one, Lori Lightfoot, Beetlejuice's report. Okay. All right. And then the FBI and see what the results of their little probe are. According to attorneys representing Dolton's trustees moving forward, expenses on village credit cards will be limited to those approved by the board for the village's director of administrative services to make. So you got one dude now, or dudette, that's going to be making those calls. No. They're wrangling back their control on spending because they are insolvent. They are millions of dollars in the hole. The village has had so many people with so many credit cards, they're swiping like crazy. And that's why it had to come to a complete halt. said Michael McGrath, another attorney representing Dolton's trustees. He was the one that indicated, Michael McGrath was the one that indicated, there's thousands and thousands of dollars for Amazon purchases, for PayPal, for Target, for Walgreens, for Jewel, Osco. I don't know what that is. And in the hundreds and thousands of dollars. And and a bunch of them are for gift cards, so, and they were even numbers. So he was thinking, you know what he was thinking? Hey, you're buying these cards and you're selling them out 75 cents on the dollar and getting that money back. And the village is basically paying the bill, or you're handing them out to your buddies, or you're using them for yourself for personal goods. Because you can't track that stuff, right? You just can't track that stuff. McGrath said that a snapshot of just 5 to 6 months of spending was revealed in the last couple of weeks by Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman. Here's Keith Freeman. He used to be her top aide. Now he's given some of the financial info. And the board has been meeting almost daily with Lori Lightfoot. And what Lori Lightfoot has come up with is she has corroborated the financials from the accountant and auditor along with testimony that she's come up with. And she's just basically creating a picture of the crazy spending and the illegal activity that's been going on. And then they're going to take that report, whatever she comes up with tonight at 6:30. They're going to take that and the attorney will forward it on to the appropriate authorities. Forward it on to the FBI. The FBI is already there. The FBI is probably going to go like this. Oh, well, we looked at, and, we knew all this, but I think the village seems to be happy with Lori Lightfoot's results. They seem to be happy. Maybe it's just somebody validating what they've been thinking, but they don't really know. And at $400 an hour, I want to see her bill. I mean, that is going to be a chunk. Freeman has pleaded not guilty. This is Keith Freeman. He's the right-hand man who the village now has on the payroll. Still, even though Tiff says that he's fired, Freeman has pleaded not guilty to a federal bankruptcy fraud charge and is considered by some trustees to be a potential whistleblower. He clearly is. He also understands and has kind of the inside track to a lot of what's been going on in the village of Dolton. So he's a very crucial figure within this whole deal. A lot of this pivots around him. So you've got a guy who is going through bankruptcy, who decided not to include his income. I can't remember if it was income from the township of Thornton or the village of Dolton, because he works for both. And he decided, well, you know what? If I don't include this income, maybe they won't see it and they won't know. That'll help out my bankruptcy case to get all this debt discharged. Well, that kind of went sideways on him. And here he is. He got fired. Now you're fired from the village of Dolton. No, you're not. You're crucial to us. We love you. Just so many shenanigans going on all at once that you can't figure out what's going on. There were some initial news stories that came out on Monday about just the guts of what happened. But then I always wait a couple of days because it takes a while for that stuff to filter out. All right. Yeah. They kicked out a senior citizen from that meeting. All right. That's bold. Oh, she rolled in with attorneys. Initially, we didn't hear that. She rolled in with the 2 criminal defense attorneys. That's interesting. Those guys sat during the meeting and they tried to sit through the closed session, which was just board members. And board members basically said, yeah, we don't really need you here. So there was some talk about whether they stayed or didn't stay. So there was an interesting interview. How did Freeman put you at risk? Asked WGN's Jenna Barnes. So Tiff and her attorney, the main dude, are talking with the reporter, and Tiff just basically blows off, the question and says he just answered that, talking about her attorney. Is it that there's speculation that prosecutors are putting pressure on him, meaning Keith Freeman, to cooperate in their investigation into you? And then the attorney comes back with, we're talking about the removal of security detail. So by firing the Deputy Chief Lacey, Tiff is saying that her security detail has been taken down And now she's at risk. I don't think so, but from Tiff's standpoint, somebody might take a pop at me. I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, there's been threats against her, but I think they're just, pissed off townspeople who are like, she's terrible. And they probably say something they regret. Dolton's acting chief of police, Lewis Lacey, has implemented capacity limits and metal detectors in the Board of Trustees meeting room. And just Monday night, during the meeting, he made everyone walk back through those metal detectors after the meeting had already started. And they did that because they didn't have the metal detectors on the first time they came into the building. Tiff wasn't there. She was late. So you literally can't make this stuff up. So you've got a lot of senior citizens that attend these meetings. And so they're already sitting down, right? They've had people help them get in there and get situated, and they're not going anywhere. Now she makes them get up, just super, I don't know what the word would be. I want to say picky, but weak. That's a weak call. You're going to make your constituents get up and go through the metal detector after they've already been sitting there for a while? I mean, these aren't exactly, assassins just sitting there. And then she throws out as senior citizens. Dolton's Board of Trustees placed Lacey on administrative leave pending an investigation into his alleged mishandling of the Dolton Police Department. But the media spin has been, it's a cost-saving effort. Nah, I think they want him out. I think he's got some issues that he's going to need a big box of tissues for, right? And so he's one of the main guys that they want out of there, along with the 8 folks they fired from the village that were allies of Tiff. And Tiff is saying, this is all political. This is political retaliation. Well, no, the village is just trying to figure out which way is up. And they're trying to get a handle on finances. They're trying to get a handle on spending. So they literally just, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. We're cutting that off. We're cutting that off. We're selling the Tiff's Tahoes. We're selling Tiff's Explorer, whatever it is. Just completely unnecessary for a village that has, 23,000 people in it. We're not talking a huge town. This is not a huge town. So the amount of money that Tiff, I think, has spent, and if it does go into the millions, like they're saying it will, I mean, you got to work pretty hard at spending that amount of money on just ridiculousness. You know what I mean? You got to spread that love around a lot. So that didn't stop Lacey from reporting to work Tuesday, though. Dolton Deputy Village Police Chief reports to work one day after Village Board places him on leave. I mean, guy just rolls in. There is so much dysfunction here. It is so incredible, the amount of dysfunction, and literally nobody knows what to think or what to do. So the one trustee that I saw on this story basically said, yeah, they all came to work. We thought it was strange, but they're basically claiming that they weren't fired legally. I mean, from everything that I've seen, I don't see any reason how they weren't fired legally, but whatever. You let a judge figure that out. And then a judge is basically going to have to issue some kind of basically stop order for these people to be coming to work. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. Let's get down to, we're about $6 million in deficit. That seems to be the number that is coming out pretty consistently now. But Tuesday morning, despite the vote, Lacey still reported to work. Norwood said the deputy chief claims the board had no authority to place him on leave. He's not fired. He's on administrative leave, which is different. And they're worried that he is basically running the town into the ground, and they want him out of there, and they want to be able to do it legally. So pending the results of whatever, they're going to try and go down this road of, yep, you're out of here. So that is not true. So we did vote on it. The fact that it wasn't legal, we did vote on it, and our vote is actually valid at the moment. This is a trustee speaking. So we were quite surprised when he showed up at work today. Can you imagine? Hey, man, didn't we fire you last night? We fired you. No. No, we're waiting for the advice from our attorney to figure out our necessary steps legally. And their attorney, Bert Olson, he basically said, we're going to have to get it. We're going to have to get the judge involved because we did everything legally. But, if you don't have one I dotted, you're hosed. And, a lot of folks are talking about, well, why don't they just impeach Tiff Tiff? They tried to, and they didn't do it right. Tiff Tiff's attorneys caught what they screwed up on, and it was thrown out in court. So, these folks were a little gun shy too, as far as what's going on. And they're leaning on their attorney to kind of, all right, you tell us what to do, because nobody seems to know which way things are going. And an embattled Henyard responded to that vote during yet another chaotic meeting Monday night amid multiple investigations. She said, "This is political retaliation. Getting control of your village, cutting the crazy illegal spending down, firing the people responsible is political retaliation." All right. I mean, that's an effort to spin it that way, but literally Tiff Tiff at this point in time, she's got nothing else. She's got nothing else to stand on. All of a sudden, her pillars of stability are being taken out one bit by one bit. And I think we're close to some kind of indictment here pretty soon, because it doesn't sound like this is rocket science to figure out, hey, you got multiple $600 charges for gift cards at Target. What's up with that? Well, yeah, my cousin Johnny over there, he needed, I can't do that, right? And what municipality needs gift cards from Target to operate? I want to see that as a legit charge. And show me how you can come up with that. Give it away as a gift? I don't think that's going to be looked upon quite so well, right? Preliminary details in an independent probe led by Lightfoot are expected to be released to the public Thursday, today at 4:30 Seattle time. Yeah, it should be wild. But the crazy thing about Lori Lightfoot is she has no authority over anything. All they can really do is take her results and, kick it on to the other authorities. So it's more just it's a confirming what they already kind of know, what they already feel like is happening. I think that is, that's your best. That's just what's going on. Take a look at this photo. Here's Tiff Tiff. Here's her lead attorney. Here's Junior. I mean, you imagine rolling in just one day and all of a sudden there's two white guys sitting next to Tiff Tiff, and you're like, should be interesting. I want to hear this one. I want to hear who these guys are. And you know how they have to go through a roll call. And somebody asks, hey, who are those guys? Who's Jeff and Mudd up here? What do we got going on? Oh, those are Tiff Tiff's defense attorneys. Like, oh, so she's been charged with something? No, they're just coming to the board meeting to find out if the board's going to do something illegal. Literally, you cannot make this stuff up. It's so crazy. One woman said, watching as this village is being run into the ground by this woman is pissing me off. And then she was tossed. I think she was the senior citizen. Henyard is also being investigated by the FBI for corruption, acted confrontational with the people she is supposed to represent. She's always been confrontational. She got elected, and then she just went down this power trip of, some crazy, crazy stuff. I hope everything comes out, and I hope they're able to substantiate it. I don't know how they wouldn't be able to, because it sounds like this is, from the outside, it sounds like these charges are, we've got them here. We've got a set of books here. We got a set of books here. Here's the actual invoices, and here's the people that we talk to. It sounds pretty cut and dried. It doesn't sound like there's any, sophisticated shenanigans going on. These are all super basic. Go get my cousin Johnny a $600 gift card at Target. It's like, just put a little effort into it, right? If you're going to commit a crime, put a little effort into it. I don't think they did. I don't think they did at all. So a village credit card spending freeze was approved. Cap of $5,000 on a single transaction. Village has so many people with so many credit cards. They're swiping like crazy. I mean, this is all going to come out. Yeah, Dolton has a population of more than 20,000. But I mean, that is not a big community. So to have this kind of stuff going on is apparently pretty typical in Chicago, in Illinois. I mean, it is not uncommon. But I think what's unusual in this case is the flagrant nature of what they've done. I mean, literally, Tahoe Tiff, right? She needs 3 Tahoes. Those are big rigs. I don't care what you say. My ex-wife, I think, has a Tahoe that got from a family member. And I look at it and I'm like, good Lord, that's a big... I'm like, I wouldn't want to drive that. I've, got to fit in tiny spots over in Seattle. And my Jeep Grand Cherokee is, quite a bit smaller. Tahoe Tiff and her, folks just rolling around in those big rigs, whatever. All right. Let's go through Lori Lightfoot to release findings from investigation. Some village leaders will gather once again after trustees say they've received more information about village finances in a meeting with Dolton's accountant. So they finally got information. I'm thinking they got a set of books from Dolton's accountant. Tiff has put the squeeze on, she's put a hold on all the books, all the spending, and yet they've still been out there doing it. Because if you're going to go down, you might as well go down in style, right? And the outfit she was wearing, I mean, I'm no style maven, but it looked fashionable. It looked expensive. Let's just say that, right? So Tiff just still going to the well until Monday night. Yeah, you're cut off. No more spending for you. Bert Olson, he's the attorney. He said this will be a bombshell. What we're talking about tonight. And he also said, and this is a guy, he's not really dramatic. He's white dude, glasses. I mean, he's pretty just, he doesn't really get after things. He said, you ain't seen nothing till you see this, what this lady has done. Got the financials from the accountant and an auditor plus testimony. And Lori Lightfoot is painting a very, very clear picture, apparently, that shows how they got to $6 million in debt. And they've been having meetings literally daily going over all this stuff so that she has confirmation that's what's in her report and is in her, what she's going to release tonight is just 100% dead on. So, it actually didn't take her that long to put this together. That is another key factor that I think indicates that what Tiff has done was done so basic. I mean, it was done, she's not really even trying to camouflage anything. She's just like, we robbed you blind. Yeah, truth will come out at some point. I'm the light in the valley of darkness, whatever else she said. The other interesting thing was that at the meeting that Cook County sheriffs were there. Now, some people are saying it's because the village asked them to be there. Some people were stating it's because Tiff asked them to be there for additional coverage because things might get crazy. Well, when you roll in with 2 criminal defense attorneys to your own board meeting and nobody likes you and you've implemented metal detectors and you make people go through the metal detectors because of your own fault, you can see how people would just get wildly upset with her. And I think she deserves it. She deserves everything that she's getting at this point in time. So what will Lori Lightfoot come up with? I think we've already kind of heard what she's going to say, the whole 6 million, and it's going to be, it's going to be pretty straightforward. And then she'll probably release the details of her report, whether that's a PDF document. I don't know. Like, how many pages is it going to be? Is it going to be hundreds of pages, or is it going to be a summary brief? Don't know. But yeah, this is the last segment I'm going to leave you with. Bert Olson says upcoming investigation report on Dolton Mayor will be a bombshell. This was, if you want to listen to this, I'm not going to make you listen to this, but if you Google that, WGN Radio, there's an 8-minute interview, 8.5-minute interview with Bert Oldeson, the attorney. And I think he's reasonable. He's a reasonable dude. I believe what he is saying. I don't believe anything that Tiff or anybody associated with Tiff, even Keith Freeman, who is now apparently working for the good guys because he knows where the bodies are. That whole thing. I mean, you just don't know which way is up. You don't know which way is coming down. So if the meeting does happen tonight at 6:30, I'm going to watch it and I'll make a bunch of notes and we'll live stream it tomorrow. What do you think about that? I would live stream it tonight, but I got stuff going on. All right. That's it from me. I will see you tomorrow if all goes well. And if Lori Lightfoot drops the bombshell. Thanks so much for being here. And I appreciate you being here on this live stream. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.